You talk, you die. You run too fast, you die. So A Quiet Place was a movie that came out in 2018, directed by John. I can't say his surname, so I'm not gonna say his surname because his surname it's kind of hard to pronounce for me at least anyway. And yeah, it falls under the horror sci-fi genre, so this is basically a horror movie. And essentially we're following like a family who are in this world where the world's basically over and you have like these creatures that can't see, but they can basically hear every sort of sound that someone makes. If you make like a louder sound, that's it man, you're done out here, you're done. You're getting eaten up and you're getting yeeted up. Before this movie came out, I'm not sure if this was like inspired by anything because this is very like a creative, unique type of movie that I've never seen before, at least for me. So when I came into this movie, I actually was excited because it was so fresh, it was so different than the usual cliche type of horror movies that we get a lot of the times. But anyways, we have like the dad, we have like the bunch of kids, we have like the mum. And pretty much throughout this whole movie, we're basically following those, you know, all those characters in this movie. And funny enough, the dad that's actually in it is also the director, John. So John's playing also the dad in this film as well. And you know what, one thing I like about the guy John here is that he knows his stuff, he knows what he's on about when he's making these type of movies, especially horror. He probably definitely has seen like a lot of horror tropes and a lot of horror cliches, so he wanted to kind of make like a, you know, a movie that was never done before in a way where, you know, the characters were actually smart, things were actually set out properly. Because in my opinion, I think this is one of like the best horror movies ever, like hands down. I don't know if I'd say it's my top 10. I'd have to like go over all the horror movies I've seen in it, but this is definitely one of my favorite horror movies of all time, definitely. But if I get into, you know, the characters, one thing I like about what the guy John does here, the director, is that he makes all the characters seem so likable and actually not stupid. So you have the dad that, you know, he's just trying to save his family, he's just trying to protect his family from the creatures, he's just trying to do what he needs to be doing, get by and just survive through this, you know, hectic world there now. The dad's probably one of the smartest, you know, characters in horror because you get so many characters nowadays in horror where pretty much all these characters are just stupid in these horror films. So what I like about the director John is that he understands that, you know, this is probably like a recurring thing, so he wanted to make all the characters in this movie seem likable and seem, you know, logical. I think what I respect about the director is that he doesn't treat the audience like they're dumb, and he doesn't make these characters in his film make dumb decisions, because we know that we've seen it so many times in horror films. Of course you still have to have people make certain dumb choices, which are the kids. But then again, you can't really blame the kids in this movie because kids in general make stupid choices in it, so it was acceptable in my opinion because, you know, that's a logical thing that would happen, kids making the wrong choices. You can't really blame them in it. But at least to me, it wasn't to the point where I was frustrated because for the most part, the kids in this movie were really good as well. Even the acting was pretty good, I can't even lie. The mum, Emily Blunt, she's been in a lot of things nowadays, like she's been in Fallout recently, but she was really great in this movie. I think what I liked about the movie a lot was the characters. You believe that they're in this situation, you believe that, you know, they're trying to survive. There are creatures out there trying to get them. And I think that involves them obviously having great acting, especially the director John. He has a believable sort of acting style where you honestly believe that this guy and all his family are literally one step away from getting killed if they make a sound. Visually, this movie looked really good as well because you can kind of tell that, you know, it feels like a real world. It doesn't feel like a fantasy made up world. It feels like there are people in a normal world with literally creatures surrounding them. But crazy enough, the daughter was actually deaf, so they actually knew sign language before. So I guess trying to navigate through this world wasn't really a problem for them because they already knew how to do that, you know, sign language and stuff. So yeah, that wasn't really an issue when it came to communicating. I can't lie, the daughter can be a bit frustrating at times though, because she's very rebellious. But then again, when you're a kid and you start to grow up, you start to like become like that sort of rebellious, you know, irritating character, irritating person, even in the real world, innit? So it's one of those things where you kind of have to put up with. But obviously they're putting up with it in a world where you can't actually shout or scream, so they're just always doing this. And you know that dad just wants to scream in this woman's face, man, in this girl's face, man, because yeah, but she's just not having it, man. She's just being rebellious to both her parents, man. The oldest son in this movie doesn't do much, but he's still like a character where his acting is still good enough and you still believe that he's afraid and he's in this situation as well. And I think the genius thing about this movie is that because they can't make any noise, what they use to create fear in this movie is actually when they make a sound. The sound itself is the scariest thing in this movie. Once you hear like a loud noise, that's what creates the fear in this whole movie. Like you hear like these creatures like start roaring, being all angry and get irritated because they hear like a sound. And I'm just thinking like, chill man, like chill. Like these monsters are just like kind of just crazy stuff. I can't lie, because they get so agitated when they hear like a noise in it. They just go all like crazy and stuff. So yeah, I'd say that when the characters would make a noise, that's what creates the whole fear in this entire movie, which I think is genius in my opinion. I don't think you really hear the characters speak that much, because obviously they're using hand sounds in it. So when it's like pitch quiet in this entire movie, when you hear like a loud bang or a loud noise, it just makes you jump because you're so used to, you know, the whole movie being quiet. And I thought the chemistry in this movie was amazing as well. Like, you honestly believe that, you know, these were his kids. You honestly believe that dad was, you know, the father of these kids and stuff, and you believe that Emily Blunt was his wife. I definitely think the guy John was definitely the best actor in this movie, hands down. Like, he was so believable. Specifically the dad's like facial expressions and the eyes, like it told me everything I needed to know about the movie, because obviously they don't have a lot of dialogue, so they have to use their facial expression, their body language, and also the gestures to show what they're feeling and what they're feeling in the moment. Emily Blunt was good in this film as well, but I just feel like John had more like the highlights in the film, personally. I thought the CGI and special effects for the creatures were also good as well. Like, it looked to me realistic anyway. I'm not saying that this is the best CGI or special effects that I've seen, but I would at least say, watching this movie again, I'd say the CGI and special effects stand really well, which is important because you have to have these creatures look realistic for us to believe that these characters are in this world, you know, trapped in this world. I also think the sound of the creatures was also good. It was really like scary and intimidating. Like, whenever you'd hear the noise, us as the audience would be thinking like damn, like yeah, this stuff is, yeah, there's some creepy stuff right here in it. So yeah, I definitely like the sound of the creatures. They were definitely intimidating. Like, whenever they'd make a sound, that the characters would make a sound, and you hear like these, you know, little creatures just roaring and stuff and just making these like scary ass sounds. Yeah, it definitely was scary for sure. So no complaints from here. But one thing I really loved about this movie as well was the pacing. The pacing was so smooth. It was so like, it's nice and just smooth throughout the entire movie. The movie was like only like an hour and a half in it, so it wasn't that long, but a lot of times you get movies like that just feel so slow in it. But I feel like in this movie the pacing was just perfect, pitch perfect in my opinion. You know, it just flows so well in this movie. I'll be real, I felt bad for Emily Blunt in this movie, man. Like, it was so bad because she was pregnant also in this movie. Now, not the actual actor, but in the movie, the character was pregnant. So with her being pregnant in this movie, the stakes are just even higher in this movie. Because obviously they can't make sound in this movie, innit? So there are situations where they want to scream or they want to make noise or they're in pain, but they can't. So it's just so uncomfortable to look at, because it almost makes you feel like you're in that situation. You're the one that's actually in this apocalyptic world. Like I said, I don't know if this is like an original idea or if this was inspired by something before, or not copied but replicated in some sort of way. If this is original, then props to the director John, and he's a genius, because this movie is amazing. I'll be honest, I don't really have any negatives in this movie. If I'm being dead honest, I don't have anything to say that was bad about the movie. At least to me, when I was watching this movie, especially when I first watched it, there was nothing I could really say that I didn't like about it, because I honestly thought all the problems I have about, you know, cliche horror movie stuff, they'd actually do a great job at, you know, getting rid of that stupid cliche stuff you see in horror movies. This movie has good characters, good acting, good stakes, good pacing. I'm sure someone could think of something objectively that's bad about this movie, but honestly, for me, I don't care. This movie to me was a great movie. And it's directors like him that we need, that directors that understand that not everything has to be stupid, not every character has to be dumb. You can make a good movie and still have realistic characters and still have them making, you know, smart decisions. What I think sells it is just the acting and the characters. You know, a dad trying to look after his family, you know what I mean? Like, that sells it already. So yeah, would I recommend this movie? 100%, man, 100%. Actually, you know, there is a negative that you could say, but to me, it doesn't really bother me too much. Like, you don't really see any gore. Like, this is rated like, I think PG-13 or 13 plus. I don't know. In America, I think they would say like PG-13. In England, it would be like, what, rated 15 plus. If you're looking for gore, or if you're into gore and you only watch horror movies with gore, then yeah, I guess this movie wouldn't be for you. And obviously when the movie concluded, you were left thinking like, damn, like, you felt sad, you felt like empathy towards the character, and it was just such an amazing ending. It was so sad in it, which we want from horror movies. We don't really want to see happy endings. Then again, I kind of do sometimes, I can't lie, but in this movie, it didn't end on like a yay. It ended where you kind of felt like, okay, where do these characters go from now? Like, what happens next? Because this is basically part one. But yeah, that's it. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought about this movie, and if you thought it was rubbish or if you thought it was great. But in my opinion, I love this movie, so agree or disagree, or agree to disagree. See you later, man. Oh my god, it's so hot in here. It's so hot.